I wish you'd die like Mom did." Her face was twisted with rage, tears streaming down her 17-year-old face that looked so much like her mother's it physically hurt to see. Her boyfriend Trent stood behind her, his manicured hand on her waist, wearing a cashmere sweater that cost more than I made in a week. He nodded with that smug, rich kid smile that made me want to put my fist through the wall. "Vera deserves a real father," he said, his eyes scanning my oil-stained warehouse uniform with undisguised disgust. "Not some broke loser who can't even afford her college tuition. My father says success is a choice, Mr. Cordell. Maybe you should have made better choices." The words hit harder than any physical blow could have. I stood there, frozen, watching my only daughter choose this arrogant boy over the man who had raised her alone for 10 years, who had held her through nightmares about her mother never coming home, who had learned to braid her hair from YouTube videos and sat through endless school plays and soccer games. "Get out of my house," I managed to say, though my voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. "Gladly," Vera spat back, grabbing her overnight bag that I now realized she'd already packed. "Trent's family actually cares about my future. His parents are taking me to look at Whitmore University this weekend. You know, the college I got into but can't attend because my father is a failure who works in a warehouse." They left together, Trent's BMW purring to life in my driveway, the sound a mockery of my 10-year-old pickup truck parked beside it. The house felt impossibly empty. My father Earl was at his weekly bowling league and wouldn't be home for hours. The silence pressed against my eardrums like I was underwater. I walked to my bedroom closet and pushed aside photo albums filled with happier times. Behind them was the locked box I hadn't opened in 3 years. Inside was my service revolver from my brief time as a reserve deputy, back when I thought I might make something more of myself. The metal was cold and heavier than I remembered. 6 bullets. More than enough. I drove to the overlook near Silver Creek Bridge, the new one they built after the collapse that took Nadia. The same water that swallowed my wife 10 years ago reflected the bridge lights like broken glass. I parked my truck and sat there with the gun on my lap, writing a note on the back of an old warehouse receipt. "Vera, I'm sorry I couldn't be the father you deserved. The life insurance should cover college. Despite everything, I love you. Dad." The barrel was cold against my temple. My finger found the trigger. This would solve everything. Vera would get the insurance money, go to her precious Whitmore University, marry someone like Trent, and never have to be ashamed of her father again. My hand was steady. I'd made my decision. Then my phone rang. The screen showed an unknown international number. Who calls at 11:30 at night from overseas? Wrong number, probably. Some scam call, but something made me lower the gun and answer. Maybe I wanted to hear another human voice one last time, even if it was just someone trying to sell me extended warranty coverage. "Is this Mason Cordell?" The voice was male, heavily accented and nervous. "Yeah, who's this?" "My name is Ramon Vega. I'm a private investigator calling from Colombia. Please don't hang up. This is about your wife, Nadia Cordell." The gun nearly slipped from my other hand. "If this is some kind of sick joke or scam, I swear to God I will track you down and make you regret it." "No scam, Mr. Cordell. Please listen. Your wife didn't die in that bridge collapse. She's alive." The words didn't make sense. They bounced around in my head like pinballs finding no place to land. "That's impossible. Her car went into the river. The police confirmed it." "She wasn't in the car when it went over, Mr. Cordell. She's been trying to get back to you and your daughter for 10 years. She's been looking for you, searching for you. She's alive, and she needs your help." I set the gun on the dashboard with shaking hands. Either I was having a breakdown, or this stranger was about to change everything I thought I knew about the worst night of my life. "Keep talking," I heard myself say, as the bridge lights blurred through sudden tears. Life hadn't always been this broken. 10 years ago, I had everything a man could want without even knowing how precious it all was. I had Nadia, my beautiful Colombian wife with eyes like dark honey and a laugh that could fill every corner of our small house. I had Vera, our 7-year-old daughter who wore princess dresses to grocery stores and insisted on kissing every stuffed animal goodnight before bed. I had a steady job at the paper mill that paid enough for mortgage payments, Saturday pizza nights, and even a week at the lake every summer. We lived in a 2-story blue house on Maple Street with white shutters that Nadia painted herself while 5 months pregnant. She'd stood on that ladder despite my protests, singing Colombian folk songs her grandmother taught her, determined to make everything perfect before the baby arrived. The backyard had a garden where she grew tomatoes, peppers, and sunflowers that reached toward the sky like yellow prayers. Every spring, she and Vera would plant new seeds, their hands covered in soil, their matching smiles bright in the afternoon sun. Nadia worked part-time at the elementary school as a teacher's aide. The kids loved her because she never talked down to them and always kept butterscotch candies in her pocket. She'd come home with stories about little Tommy who finally learned to read, or Sweet Maria, who drew pictures of our family because she wished Nadia was her mom too. In the evenings, she'd help Vera with homework at the kitchen table, while I cooked dinner, usually something simple like spaghetti or grilled cheese, but Nadia acted like every meal I made was gourmet. We had routines that felt like religion. Sunday mornings meant pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse. Tuesday nights, Nadia taught Vera traditional Colombian dances in the living room, while I pretended not to watch, mesmerized by how gracefully they moved together. Friday nights were for movies. All 3 of us squeezed onto the couch with a bowl of popcorn that Vera invariably spilled when she got excited about the story. The accident happened on October 15th. A date burned into my memory like a brand. Nadia's sister Rosa had just had a baby in Memphis, 3 states away. We couldn't afford plane tickets on short notice, so Nadia decided to drive. I wanted to go with her, but I'd just started a big project at the mill and couldn't get time off. "It's just 2 days, Mason," she'd said, kissing me goodbye at the door. "I'll call you when I get there." She never called. The storm hit around 9 that night, earlier than forecasted. The Silver Creek Bridge, already old and showing its age, couldn't handle the combination of wind and rain and the weight of traffic. It collapsed just after 10 p.m., taking 12 cars into the dark water below. They found 11 bodies over the following weeks. Nadia's rental car was pulled from the river, her purse still on the passenger seat, but her body was never recovered. Search teams said the current was too strong, that she'd been swept downstream. I identified her purse at the police station. Her wallet was still inside, along with a photo of the 3 of us at last year's Christmas, all wearing matching ugly sweaters she'd bought as a joke. The officer, a young woman who looked barely out of college, held my hand while I sobbed like a child. They declared Nadia dead after 6 months of searching. I had to sign papers, plan a memorial service with no body to bury, explain to 7-year-old Vera why Mommy wasn't coming home. The paper mill closed 3 years later, another casualty of automation and overseas competition. 800 jobs gone overnight. I took whatever work I could find, eventually landing the night shift at a distribution warehouse 40 minutes away. The pay was less than half what I'd made at the mill, but it was work. My father Earl moved in to help with Vera while I worked 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., loading trucks until my back screamed and my hands went numb. "That girl needs stability, Mason," Earl would say, heating up leftover casserole some neighbor had brought. "She's angry at the world, and she's taking it out on you because you're the only one left to blame." He was right. By the time Vera hit high school, every conversation was a minefield. She resented the second-hand clothes, the fact that her phone was 3 models old, that I couldn't afford the school trips to Washington, D.C. or New York that her classmates went on. When she started dating Trent Hawley 6 months ago, everything got worse. His father owned half the commercial buildings downtown, and Trent never let us forget it. The explosion came on a Thursday night in March. I'd just gotten home from pulling a double shift at the warehouse, 16 hours of loading trucks in the cold. My back was on